how to make a 5 sensory really obsessed with you and why they ghost you as a 6 sensory. If you have just been ghosted on the first few dates, getting to know a 5 sensory, maybe you've had one or two, or you've just known them for a few days and then they suddenly ghost, the reason probably is you might have been intimate too quickly. So if you're intimate quickly, here's the thing, you have to expect the person to disappear. That's just how human nature works. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do that. If that's something you really want to do and you're okay with that consequence, you may choose to do that. But even so, I would caution you against living that way because it can feel very discouraging. It can feel like human beings are disposable napkins, and it might not leave you feeling great getting intimate quickly. And you might say, but I'm emancipated, I don't follow religion. And some intuitives are like that. Some follow religion, some don't. And the thing about religion is that when you want a long-term committed relationship, you have to veer towards the more traditional way. You have to wait longer before you become intimate. You have to get to know the person better. And the better you get to know a person, the better shot you have at some kind of long-term traditional relationship. But beware, because even when you think you know a person, sometimes 5 sensories are really good at asking the deep questions to get you into the conversation and get you feeling falsely, emotionally intimate with them so that you will become physically intimate more quickly. How can you avoid getting into that situation? Well, always set boundaries. You could even walk into a 5 sensories house if you want to, and if you have a strong enough boundary that you're not going to be intimate, even if you're in their home, then yeah, you could potentially do that and not have any problems. However, if you have any concerns that you might be physically weaker than the other person, or you don't have the self-discipline to say no, then I would advise against stepping into the home of somebody if you don't want to be intimate with them. Only go into the homes of people that you really trust and you feel ready to give your body to. And if that timing is like 10 dates in, then wait 10 dates, stick to your guns, and try to find the most gentle, soft boundary you can that will stop them from going further, but at the same time sends a firm enough message so they'll stop bullying you and they'll stop trying to get more. Sometimes you have to put in a really hard boundary and that's the only way that they'll listen, and sometimes that means potentially losing the person. But if a person is putting that much pressure on you early on to become intimate, it means that their intentions with you aren't very good in the first place. And if you're not used to that kind of mindset coming from a 5 sensory as a 6 sensory, and you kind of let a 5 sensory talk you into getting intimate earlier on, like on the first or second date, and then they disappear, it can really hurt your feelings, but you've just played into the games of 5 sensories trying to get what they want in life. There's not really that much you can do at that point as a 6 sensory. If you start confronting the 5 sensory or texting them or calling them, asking them like, why did you ditch me after 1 or 2 dates, it's not gonna go well. In fact, you're probably gonna be met with a wall of silence, and that's gonna feel worse than if you hadn't asked anything at all. It's better to leave them alone if you've done that already and it's too late. But the good news is that you can move on. There are new people, lesson learned. You know, if you didn't hurt yourself in the process too much physically or emotionally, be grateful that you're still healthy and you're still well, and try again and be smarter and set the boundaries next time so that you don't waste your time and you don't waste their time either. Because people who are looking for that usually will say so. Sometimes they change their minds if you behave with a high vibration and you present yourself the right way, like you have your beautiful life, and that if you are engaging in any relationship, it's really just a beautiful top note on a gorgeous, rich symphony underneath. And you want to have that gorgeous, rich symphony going on in your life. You want to have complexity. You want to have layers as a 6 sensory. That's what's going to hook a 5 sensory to get to know you better over time, because there will always be something new to talk about. 6 sensories often come from backgrounds where we are encouraged to be of service to others, that's the answer to their negativity. that we have to be obedient. We have to listen to what people are telling us to do. We have to let go of our ego or the part of us that wants to argue or cause a fight. We need to listen to our elders. We need to listen to our bosses. We need to listen to our families. And that's great advice. That is good traditional advice, except when we're in dating situations, we actually need to listen to our own heart first. We can't be listening to outside resources because there are so many voices telling us to go in different directions, and it can even seem very legitimate. It can seem like this is normal now to have sex on the first date or the second date, and to have short flings instead of long, meaningful relationships. That is the culture that is present today. And if we listen to that like it's an elder or like it's a leader of an institution, we can allow that influence in and start living our lives under that influence. And it's so strong that we can even subtly make a mistake one day. We allow somebody in too quickly. We basically don't value ourselves enough because we've been told by everybody else that this is how you have to live life. And what we have to do actually is reprogram ourselves. Every time somebody says something like that, you have to go back and visualize and affirm to yourself why your life is different. You have to affirm who you really are as a person every single time, because if you subtly let all of that influence into your unconscious, then you may accidentally start acting out in ways that are a bit more secular just because you perceive it to be normal. When we perceive the secular to be normal, that's when we're more likely to get thrown in the bin. That's when we're likely to get dumped or unvalued or dismissed, instead of being the person that five sensories obsess over. And really how to get that quality from them is to continually affirm that you are lovable, that you are worthy and deserving of a long-term relationship, that you are beautiful, rich, and complex with a very diverse life with so many gifts and talents, so many different hobbies, so many different interests and relationships, not just romantic relationships, but complicated family and friend relationships. Not complicated in the sense that they're necessarily bad, but that they are rich and require attention and time. And when you live this beautiful, complicated life that is so rich and so meaningful, that is when you have a shot of becoming someone who gets obsessed over by a five sensory.